I'm going to talk about ICE detention, that is Immigration and Customs Enforcement that apprehends individuals who are non-citizens in the United States. So is your loved one in ICE detention? And are you wondering how you can get him or her released from custody? What do you need to do to get him or her out on bond? So when ICE apprehends and detains any person who is not a US citizen, the person is taken to the local ICE field processing office. The ICE officer then prepares the necessary paperwork and makes a custody determination. That is a decision whether the individual will be released or remain in custody. The ICE officer fills out a notice of custody determination, that is Form I-286, indicating the decision and if a bond was granted and the amount to be paid. This is called the initial custody determination. And during this process, the ICE officer makes one of three decisions. One, order of release on recognizance, or two, ICE detention, or three, an order of release. If the individual is going to be released on his own recognizance and without a bond, the person is given an order of release on recognizance detailing the conditions of release. That essentially is that the person is released to go home and will then be in non-detained immigration proceedings. Alternatively, ICE may detain a person until the person's family posts a monetary immigration bond. Now, the bond amount varies. It can be as low as $1,500, but can also be quite substantial. I have seen bonds set at $50,000, and I've heard of bonds that are even higher. Now, the bond amount varies from jurisdiction to jurisdiction, even for quite similar cases. So there are many factors, who the judge is, who the government lawyer is, and various other, and how good your attorney is. Or if the individual is attempting to argue for bond without representation. Usually a bad idea, but sometimes that is the situation. And then the ICE officer also considers several factors, including whether the person is a flight risk and a danger to the community. And then the third option is whether the person is can be released on an order of supervision, and then the person must report to ICE as often as is required. And in all three cases, the person then is put into non-detained proceedings to continue his deportation case. Now, when the person is detained because he or she has committed certain crimes, the person will not be released and could be held under mandatory detention. That is detention that is mandatory under the law. So anyone who is not a US citizen may be subject to mandatory detention. And the grounds of mandatory detention apply to legal permanent residents, as well as non-immigrants and those who do not have status in the United States. Now, if the ICE officer refuses to release the individual and continues detention, the person can request immigration and the person is not subject to mandatory detention. The person can request an immigration judge redetermine the person's custody. This is called custody redetermination. And the factors that the judge considers are the eligibility for relief. So the immigration judge asks, what form of relief will the individual qualify for if in deportation proceedings? And if the person is unable to qualify for any form of relief, then the bond amount may be much higher and sometimes denied, because at that point, the person becomes a very high flight risk if there's no form of relief either. The judge also looks at the person's criminal history and wants to know how many arrests and or convictions the individual has had. Now, the immigration judge considers the criminal charges, and depending on the gravity of the criminal history, may set a bond at a higher amount or may even deny bond. And then that person has to continue their immigration proceedings in the detained setting, in the detained court. The immigration judge also asks if the person has legal status. Has the person been previously ordered removed? Has he re-entered without permission? Did the person enter without authorization, one time or more? And then the immigration judge also looks to see the ties to the community. How long the individual has lived in the United States. Does the person have a job? Does the person own any property in the United States? Does the individual have family members in the US? What is their status? Are they US citizens or lawful permanent residents? These are all important factors that play a significant part in the amount of bond to be set. In closing, I will inform you that you get one bond hearing, and that is very important that opportunity is not missed. So get a good lawyer to ensure that they present the strongest bond evidence to support a bond grant of bond. So my office handles these cases all the time, and we are quite successful. So you can call our office or any lawyer that you feel you will do the best job for you. Thank you.